we're back. Welcome to the Profitable Salon Owner, where Catherine and Eileen help salon owners get profitable fast.
Yes, we do.
Yes, so thank you so much for tuning in with us today. And today we are going to be talking about the 4 Agreement Salon Style. Now, I don't know how many of you have actually read The 4 Agreements by Don Ruiz, but it is an amazing little book based on actually very ancient philosophy.
That's correct, Eileen.
And we really love the simplicity of this book. 4 very simple rules to live by. And what we've done is we've turned it into the salon style form of management for the salon. And actually, it's kind of interesting because Catherine and I were talking to a coaching customer a couple of weeks ago, and they've been in business for about a year or so. And one of the things that they found is that they hadn't developed a mission statement or a vision for the salon, right?
Yeah, and that's what he felt was one of the missing components of what he needed to move forward.
Yes, because, you know, like he had an idea in his head what he wanted to do, but he hadn't really communicated what he was looking for with all of his stylists. And we really believe that the 4 agreements will really help you determine the personality of your salon, you know, and some of the sort of the philosophy of the salon. It really helps you sort of stay focused and move forward.
Yeah, and you know, I also want to say, it doesn't matter if you're a salon owner, if you're a stylist, if you know, are a booth renter. I think just these 4 agreements are just great to have, not only in your life, but in your business life. So I think this is really all about, you know, the business in general. I think it's 4 simple rules to be able to take and apply to whatever you're doing.
Well, I agree, and you know what a huge fan I am of the concept because, and I like the fact that it's as simple as only 4 things. I only have to do 4 things to do really well at something, right? So pitter patter, let's get at her.
All right. So the 4 Agreements Salon Style.
Number 1, be impeccable with your word. Remember that everything that comes out of your mouth has the opportunity to affect everybody around you. So I really want you to think about this. Be impeccable with your word. And in the salon industry, it can be kind of scary because we're all about words, aren't we, in this business?
We are. We talk a lot. Sometimes, actually, more than we should. But one of the biggest things, the very first thing when I talk about be impeccable with your word, and we all know it. If we have worked in a salon or a spa for any length of time, it is what I call the terminal disease of the salon world. It's called BRB, backroom bitching.
I'm sure you have all experienced it. And it is a salon killer. It kills teamwork. It kills individuals. It hurts. It is so hurtful to be the focus of backroom bitching, but it's also really hurtful for you to be the one that might be instigating the backroom bitching because we all know how it feels to.
You know, I really talk about it to people. I call it the cancer.
Yes.
In the room. And number 1, if you have a salon or are working in a salon where there is a lot of backroom bitching, then, you know, something needs to be done about it because it's not a healthy environment for anyone. And if you are the person that's in the backroom bitching, then you need to either take yourself somewhere else or you need to look at your behavior.
How true. You know, we'll talk about that later too. But number 2 is understand your circle of influence, right? And maybe you could sort of explain that because we, you know, something that we all do have a circle of influence, but what is it?
Well, to me, I mean, we all have maybe a slightly different interpretation of this, but your circle of influence is really all the people around you. You know, you touch so many people every day. And you know, that's my circle of influence. The people that are listening to me, the people that are around me, I am constantly aware of what I say influences all of those people around me. Now, I know you probably have a little bit of a different interpretation on that, Aileen.
Well, actually, it's pretty much the same thing. But, Kath, I'm really on the dialogue train. I really believe that my dialogue can be incredibly wounding, and I also know that my dialogue can be uplifting. And one of my favorite things in the whole world is when I run into stylists on the street who will say, Aileen, I just about made my goal, and they feel empowered by a message that I've given them. And I can't tell you what an incredible gift that is, to think that my message has been received in a positive way. And I also know that as a mother, when I have given negative feedback to my children, I have seen how much it has wounded them. And I think, at times we are all guilty of giving negative feedback. Yeah. Let's face it, we all have to give feedback, but it's how we do it. And there is definitely a way to critique somebody. There's what we call constructive criticism. Yep. And I really believe that it changes everything. When you teach somebody how to grow as an individual, you teach them how to pass that same message on to their circle of influence.
And the other part about it is, as you're speaking to people, or the words that come out of your mouth, just stop and think for a second. Is this going to uplift someone, or is it going to knock them down? I really think that's a very powerful train of thought. Am I going to uplift, or am I going to knock them down? So I think, before you speak, think about the impact of your words.
Yes, and I've got to share one thing with you, because I know that all of us have a tendency to do this. We point fingers at people and we say, you do this or you do that or whatever. And I always like to say, when you're pointing that finger, if you look at your hands, you'll see that there's three fingers actually pointing back at you.
This is true.
So really remember that your words have huge power.
And one of the other things that we're going to move on to, off-limit conversations. I hear this all the time. And Aileen, we're in and out of salons all the time.
Yes.
And I can't tell you how many times we hear these topics of conversation being bandied about the salon. And I don't believe they have a place in our business. And the off-limit conversations are sex, religion, and politics.
Yeah, how to piss people off really fast. In fact, I've got to share this story with you because, of course, Catherine and I get asked a lot by friends and family, where should we go and get our hair done? And we recommend people and stylists and salons all over the place. And one time I sent a very good friend off to a salon. And afterwards I asked her, I said, well, tell me a little bit about your experience. And she said, Aileen, I got the best haircut and the best color I think I have ever had. I absolutely love my hair. And she says, I will never go back. I said, oh my goodness, why? And she said, the conversation was so uncomfortable. I mean, you guys, it was so rude that I can't even share the topic with you. But my friend is a lovely middle-aged lady, and it was just totally inappropriate. And she didn't go back. And because of a conversation.
Yeah.
So we really have to think about what it is that we're saying. People listen all the time.
Yes, they do.
Yeah.
And one of the things I wanted to say, that when we have done this, we do this presentation quite often in front of live audience. And one of the questions that we're always asked is if we will share the PDFs of this presentation, because it's a really great staff meeting.
It's a wonderful staff meeting to really, really help your staff come to the understanding and the realization that their words have power. And it's so funny because I think sometimes that we often feel powerless, but when we see that what is actually coming out of our mouth influences those around us, it really changes not only how we see ourselves, but how we affect the greater world around us. So it can be very powerful.
Yep.
This last point on here, Catherine, as you know, is something that's very dear to my heart. It's remove the negative.
Yes, Aileen, I know you're a big one for Don't put negatives into
Don't
your
put
language. And
negatives.
it's so hard. I have to tell you, you catch yourself all the time.
Well, and even as a young mom, when my kids were started their teenage years, I worked really hard not to say things like, don't do this and don't do that. I would say things like, well, be safe out there. So, I really believe that it's because what we put out there comes back to us. And very quickly, I want to share the 3 laws of the mind with you. And the number one is you can only focus on one thing at a time. And that means that you can't think about 2 things simultaneously. You just think about them one at a time. The second thing is that you can't avoid a negative. So when you hear a negative message, that's what you hear. And my favorite story about this, and it always comes out to me whenever I hear the word don't coming out of my mouth, I think about this story. Carl Allenda, who was a very well-known trapeze artist in the last century, he fell to his death, I think it was in Puerto Rico. And afterwards they asked his wife, well, what was different? Because this guy has walked the Grand Canyon and all sorts of things. And his wife said, well, in the past, he's always talked about what he was going to do when he got to the other side. This time he kept saying to himself, I hope I don't fall. I hope I don't fall. And to me, that was such a powerful story. So every time I hear my tongue starting to move into the negatives, I remember that and I try and change my language. Oh, and the third law is you move towards what you focus on.
Yes.
All right. So here is really the overall message. Substitute.
Can instead of can't.
Perfect. Do instead of don't.
And shall instead of shouldn't.
Will instead of won't.
And instead of but. And catch yourself. I'm telling you, all you do today is just focus on catching yourself. How many times you say can't, don't, shouldn't, won't, and but? It'll be a lot, because that's what we're programmed to think about. But honestly, the more you can work on this and get those negatives out of your language, you will be surprised.
Exactly, because you do move towards the positive.
Yeah.
It changes everything. And Kath, I love this poster, The Chance of Success, because it does tell you what your language brings you. And you can see on here, of course, if you say I won't, you're going to get exactly that.
Yeah.
Nothing, honey. So,
if anybody would like me to send them this graphic, I can definitely do that. You can print it as a reminder to yourself, or you can print it and put it up in your salon. You know what? I think we all need reminders.
And I have to share with you, one of the words that I've been really working at taking out of my vocabulary is the word try. I think that try is actually a fairly negative word. Well, I'll try to do that. No, come on, people. Let's do it. Let's just do it.
Yeah.
Right?
I will do that.
I will do that.
Yeah, I will do that. And give yourself a timeline.
Exactly. Not, like her, you think about having your friend say, well, I'll try and get back to you next week. No, don't try. Do it. Either say, yes, I'll get back to you, or no, I shan't. But make it, take try out of your vocabulary.
Yeah.
Stop trying, just do.
I have a 2-year-old grandson, and I read the story of the train, the one, I think I can, I think I can, I think I can, I know I can, I know I can. And it just is, it just really validates the point. This is all about being aware of what we're talking about.
Yes. Oh, Susie, great point. Try equals the possibility of failure. Exactly.
Yeah.
Eliminate the possibility and just do. Right? All right, let's move on. And our second agreement is to assume at your own risk. Right?
Yeah.
Assumption is one of the things that is a curse in our industry.
Yeah, because we just assume that we know what our clients are thinking.
Oh,
correct?
Absolutely. Oh, yes, I know that they've already spent so much money with me having their hair service. They couldn't possibly want shampoo or conditioner to go home with.
Really? Did you ask them?
Well, I know, but Catherine, I know,
Oh, you just know.
I know.
Okay.
They don't want it.
Yeah. And again, as soon as you think that, guess
That's
what?
what you're going to get.
That's what you're going to get. I mean, our job is not to assume, you know, what our clients have in their wallet or their pocketbook. Our job is really to educate
and prescribe.
And if we do that, and we're, you know, then we're not second guessing ourselves or the people that are sitting in our chairs or in our treatment room.
Exactly. Well, you know, I one of my favorite stories I have to, you know, share from my own personal experience because, you know, we've all been guilty of this stuff, right? But, you know, in the years that I owned a luggage and leather goods store, you know, we had all those travel accessories right beside the till. But luggage is a fairly big ticket item, and these people would come up with their $150, $200, or $300 purchases, and I'd say, just get the money in the till. They don't need anything else. So I never sold them anything else. I thought they've already spent their money. They have no more. Until I finally, when going out to the airport, I would see all these little accessories.
Yeah, all the accessories.
And I say, well, where'd they get them from? They didn't get them from me, and there's not very many places in town. And I suddenly realized that I was assuming that my customer couldn't afford the extra bucks.
Yeah.
So stop that. Stop that.
Stop with the assumption.
Right.
For sure.
The other one is, do you know what your coworker is thinking?
Do you?
Do you know what I'm thinking right now, Catherine?
No,
here?
I do not, Eileen. I would hate to get into that mind, actually.
I was thinking about lunch. No.
You're a bit early.
We have to really stop assuming. We make all sorts of assessments and judgments based on somebody else's demeanor. You know, somebody is in a bad mood. We think, oh my gosh, I've done something wrong or whatever. We must eliminate that from our assumptions. We do not know what is going on in somebody else's mind. If you want to know, ask.
Absolutely. Yeah. In fact, you know, this morning, Eileen and I were just having a conversation about something just before we got on this webinar. And it was about a conversation that I had with someone. And then I quickly caught myself and I said, you know, I am making an assumption. Mm-hmm. And I shouldn't do that. You know, if I want to know, then I should just ask.
Exactly.
But we do catch ourselves in that mode.
For sure.
Making that, you know, thinking, oh, well, I know what they're thinking.
Yes. And, you know, and sometimes we don't follow up on it because we're afraid. We're actually really afraid of what they're going to say because maybe your assumption of what they're thinking is true, and so you're afraid to ask. But more often than not, sorry, it's just not about you.
Yeah. I honestly think, I do think one of the biggest areas that we have to, you know, get over this assumption is with our customers. I think it's really, we keep ourselves poor because we assume we know what our customer wants or how much our customer can afford to spend with us.
You know, and I'm just going to leap this right to this consultation and then we'll come back to that confirmation because the consultation is the stylist's secret weapon. Mm-hmm. It is the most powerful tool that you have in your belt. Yes, you may be a great hair cutter. Yes, you may be a phenomenal colorist, but a facialist or whatever, you know, a service provider. But in the end, the consultation is your secret weapon.
You can't speak this morning.
This is true. I'm being impeccable with my words. But the consultation, people, we cannot stress it enough how important it is to have a really good consultation. In fact, I was, Catherine and I were talking earlier before we started this, about a conversation that I overheard in a salon last week. It just really rather irritated me because I walked into the salon and I was just sitting quietly watching what was going on, and stylist comes to get her client and sits her down in the chair and looks at her, stands behind her, looks in the mirror and says, so, what are we going to do today? And people, I got to tell you, that's not a consultation.
No.
Totally that is not a consultation.
No. But then what happens?
Well, then the client says, oh, well, I just washed my hair, you know, maybe just spritz it down and cut it. And the stylist says, okay. And that was it.
No other recommendations.
Nothing.
No other questions.
Right.
That was it.
How do we maintain our level of professionalism? How do we say that we're professional people when we aren't really engaging the client and letting them understand and know us as professionals?
Yeah, I agree with you, Aileen.
Don't we somewhere in our all of our knowledge stuff, don't we have a really great consultation sheet?
We do.
Why don't we, anybody who wants it, would you let us know, and we'll send you a consultation form, because it is truly the most important thing you can do. And here's the thing, is let's go back to that third one. Seek confirmation of every conversation. And this is key when doing a great consultation.
Absolutely. You always want to mirror back what you think you just heard the customer say.
Yes.
So we can give you an example of that. So, Aileen, I think what I understood that you just said to me is that you want about half an inch cut off your hair. You'd like some volume in the sides, but not a lot of volume on top. Am I correct?
Yes, I think that sounds just about right. And can you cut it a little longer this time?
Because that's one thing. What we often hear something differently than they have actually. Our perception of what they have just said is often different.
Yes, and we can eliminate so much confusion and potential problems by feeding back the conversation, because one person's idea of 2 inches may not be your idea of 2 inches. It's amazing the difference in size matters.
Yes, it does. Let's not go there.
All right. So in the end, the most important thing that we can tell you is that the only thing that we should assume is that the client wants our services and products.
Absolutely. Why are they there?
They're there because they want to be with you.
Yeah. Why do they come to us? That really is what it's about. And you really, as a professional, should be giving them as much information and education as you possibly can. Absolutely.
Because here's, in the end, you're professionals. And here's the perfect opportunity to use your language to establish your professional status.
Yeah. Just really interesting. I, had heard something this morning. I was talking with someone, and we were talking about a specific product, and the comeback was, "Oh, that doesn't work." Oh. And I went, "Really? I think that's an assumption. Have you looked at the research?"
Oh, yes. That's an excellent one, right? Or here's my other one. Oh, we already did that.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it didn't work.
Yes. And it's all assumptions, right?
They are.
You're making these assumptions that something's not going to work if you try it again, because it may have just been the wrong time. You may have done it the wrong way,
Or maybe they only just tried.
Yeah.
They didn't do
it. Too many people try and don't do.
Stop trying, just do.
Yeah. So the only thing we should assume is that the client wants our services and products. If we can hammer anything home to you, that is a big point.
Exactly. Now, number 3 in the 4 agreements is stop taking things personally.
Yes. That is a big one. And, as a salon owner, as a stylist behind my chair for many years, and as a salon owner, I used to be very guilty of this. Everything was personal. It was all about me.
It's all about me. Oh, sorry.
Here she goes again, singing. But, it was really hard, because what we do is we work one-on-one with someone. So you do tend to think that, oh, they don't like me. Again, it's all about me. They didn't like my work. As a salon owner, it was, my staff. It was, oh my goodness, they don't like me, and I'll tell you the biggest leap forward that I took as a person and a salon owner was the day I learned to stop taking things personally. And I mean, it wasn't just one day it flipped. it was a journey.
Yes.
But the day I made the decision to stop taking things personally was a huge improvement in both the quality of my life, and I'm sure the quality of the life of people around me.
Well, yes, because I know that all of us at some point or another have had somebody say something mean and cruel to us, and we take it so personally. And you know that feeling of hurt that lives in your heart or your mind when somebody does something like that, right?
Yeah.
But truly, here's what I really want you to understand is it's not about you. When somebody else is speaking, it's not about you.
No. Oftentimes you don't know what has happened with them, what's going on in their life, or where they are right there and right then.
I mean, you think about, your day, and say you've had a day that's been layered with sort of negative input from people, from what's going on around you, and you go home to your loving partner, and they say something that the coffee isn't hot enough or whatever it is, and all of a sudden you lose it because it's been this layering that's been going on. Well, really, that poor person, that poor partner, it's not about them. It's about what's going on within you that all of a sudden comes out with, so.
Yeah, and I think I'm pretty guilty of that with my husband. He always says to me, would you talk to your staff or your business partner like this? And I go, oh, no, backpedal, backpedal, backpedal. And I always tell the story of one night I was at the salon. It was later on in the evening, and I was working with on a client. One of my other stylists finished the client that she was doing, went up to the front desk, and I heard a bit of an uproar at the front desk. A few minutes later, stylist came back to get me. So I go up to the front desk. The client wasn't happy with what she was charged. She had been a long-term client of the salon, but she was having a different service. She was having highlights over a color, so she wasn't sure about the pricing. But I went up to talk to her, and I was very, very cordial, very nice. She literally ripped my face off.
Ouch.
Ripped a strip off me. I can't tell you. And I was not confrontational. I, kept it low. And at the end of, long story short, she left. She still, was not 100% happy, but we made her fairly happy. After she left, the stylist looked at me and she said, "Oh my God, how could you stand there and take that?" And I said, it wasn't about me. She's a businesswoman. She obviously had had a bad day, and I was the person that was on the receiving end of that. Had I been confrontational, taken it personally, that would have just escalated. That client would never have come back. She still comes to our salon today.
Exactly. And,
17 years later.
Well, isn't that interesting? I think that's probably the perfect story, because all of us in our personal life and our professional life are subjected to other people's moods, other people's feelings, other people's negativity. And in the end, it really isn't about us. It's about what's coming from them, because,
I just want to, there's a comment here from Michelle. Michelle says, so true. I used to get upset when someone would unsubscribe from our newsletter.
Well, we get that one, Michelle.
Yeah, so we understand that one. But here's the thing. Eileen and I started sending out emails to people saying, we're so sorry you unsubscribed. Would you like to take a minute to tell us why you unsubscribed?
Yes. What are we doing something that's not meeting your requirements? And we were actually really surprised at the responses we were getting back.
Yeah. I mean, some people just, there was a few people that said, no, we're no longer in the business anymore. A couple of people said, I just get so many that I decided to go only with someone in our country, because we, have people from all different countries.
Yep. So it wasn't about us.
It's not about us. It's about them.
And where they're at in their journey. And that's one of the things I want everyone to remember when you're working with a group of people and someone comes in with bringing their negativity with them, you've got to be Teflon. You've got to really say in your head, this isn't about me. This is about what's going on in their life. And let it go. You know, really, you've got to just let it go and not wear what somebody else is feeling, because it can wreck your day. And why let somebody else's bad mood wreck your day?
Yeah. No, it's so true. And we deal with it all the time. So we really just have to, I like that analogy, Eileen. We have to be Teflon.
Yeah.
We have to learn to allow it to flow off us.
Exactly.
If not, you're going to have some really bad days.
Yes, because, you know, there are those people out there who have a tendency to draw negativity with them. And that's when we really have to be that wall.
Yeah. And if you're a salon owner and you have someone that's constantly negative, you know, really coach them, really work with them, really mentor them to try and get them to see their own negativity, because it does affect everybody around you.
Here. And I love this last point that you've put up for us, Catherine, because it's mirror on the wall. And
yes.
Why?
Well, there's a couple of things about mirror on the wall. I believe that one of the things that we should always do when we walk into our business, whether you are a chair renter, whether you are an owner, whether you're a stylist, an esthetician, I believe that when we walk in the door, we are on stage. Here.
And you know what, Kat, I just have to share this story with you because I lived this. And it was one of my great aha moments when I first started working in the beauty industry. It was a really bad personal period for me. I was going through some horrendous things in my marriage, yada, yada, on and on. Anyways, I had every reason to feel really bitchy when I went to work, right? But I was really trying to earn a living in this business. So when I would be miserable in the car, and I would get to my first salon and I'd go in and I would slap a smile on my face, people, like you wouldn't believe. And you know what? Because I did that, usually when I left that first call, I had a smile on my face because people smile, but when you smile, people smile back at you. And all of a sudden that positivity comes at you. And I began to rely on all those wonderful customers to change my day, because life was hard, but you know what? They made my life great. And I would have the most incredible business days because everywhere I went, if I just put a smile on my face, people smiled back. It was an amazing feeling.
Yeah, no, it's true.
So I was called fake it till you make it.
Fake it till you make it. And that was one thing that my husband always said of me. He said, it's amazing to me. He said, it doesn't matter what you're doing or what's going on around you. When you step into the salon, you are on your stage.
Here.
You have your stage face on.
Yes.
And I really think that attributed to my success. You know, I don't think I was the best hairstylist in the world. You know, I was a good colorist, but I always was on stage when I walked in there. And, you know, in fact, for a while with my staff, when I was in my salon, I no longer live in the same city as where my salon is, so it's really hard for me to do this. But I used to, if somebody walked in and they were in that really black mood and you could feel their energy walking through the door with them, and I happened to be at the front, I would catch them and I would just take them by the shoulders and I would say, okay, we're going to try this again.
Yeah, I love that.
We're going to try this again. Because right now I'm going to fire you. You're going to walk outside the door. You're going to walk back in with a smile on your face, and I'm going to rehire you. Tongue in cheek. Because you know what it did? It interrupted their pattern.
Yeah, you got it.
It interrupted their pattern, and it went, you know, you could physically see them go, whoa.
I didn't realize I was doing that.
Because some people they are oblivious to the energy that they drag in with them. And I really believe that it infects the whole place.
It does.
You know, and for yourself too. I mean, I know sometimes Eileen and I work together most days. And one of the things that often we'll say to each other, I'm a little low today.
Yeah.
You know, so telling the other person we need a kick in the butt or a pick me up.
Exactly. And it's amazing, you know, how easy it is to, you know, change the feeling, because I can't tell you, you know, on those days when Kath and I are working together and I'm feeling low and we'll talk about it, and all of a sudden it's like this burden that's shared, and all of a sudden it goes away.
Yeah.
And we end up having amazing days. In fact, some of those days that start out a little bit like that and we share that, we have the most fun ever.
Yeah, it is what you make it, you know, so it is fake it till you make it. It's a great phrase, and I think more of us should use it.
Well, I have to agree with that, because it happens in every role that we have in our lives, because we're not just professionals. We also have personal lives. We're partners, we're friends, we're sisters, we're mothers, we're daughters, whatever. But with every role that we play in this life, if we work, which brings me absolutely to our last point, which is do your best. If we work at doing our best in every role that we do, we can't help but be successful.
Yeah, I agree. And I mean, that's all we can ask is that you try your best. Try. See, I did that. I did it. Is that you do your best.
Do your best. And success is measured in so many more ways than just money. You know, sometimes I think money is great because it's a good pat in the back for a job well done. But success to me is so much more. Success to me is the great relationship that you and I have. My children, the great relationship I have with them, being a great friend. Success is so much more than the monetary rewards. It's
success is being able to touch people every day, because we do that in this industry. We touch people, and not many industries get to do that. And we can affect change really, really quickly because we get to do that. I feel blessed that we are in this industry, because we can. When I say reach out and touch someone, we literally touch people.
Hear, hear. And, you know, like even just being here today, being able to share some of the things that we've learned through the mistakes that we've made in the past is an incredible blessing for us. And we are so grateful to all of you for tuning in and being here with us, because I can't tell you what a great feeling it is to share.
Yeah, and it's all about giving back.
Here,
you know, all the knowledge we have, we really love to give it back. And if you take one nugget away from this presentation today, that is really that to me is a job well done. We have done our best.
Exactly. And now, how do we get to do our best?
Strive for excellence always.
Yeah. When we go back over the 4 agreements, like be impeccable with your word, make no assumptions,
don't take
things personally. Those things, it allows you to strive for excellence always.
Yeah.
They're simple rules, but they allow you to strive for excellence always.
And if you can, you know, within your personal life and within your business life, if you every day get up and strive to be excellent, then I'll tell you, it's setting a goal for yourself, as we get on to set goals long and short term, but it's setting a goal for yourself that will definitely move you forward on that path.
Here. Set goals long and short term.
And really, you know, goal setting is definitely something that we definitely subscribe to. We did a webinar on goal setting a
couple months ago.
Yeah, I think so. I think it was January.
Yeah.
We did a webinar for goal setting, and that is available in the library if you have not already listened to it. But it's, you know, it's not just monetary goals.
No. I mean, sometimes your goal could be as simple as, today I will be the best friend that I can be.
Yeah.
Today I will do this or whatever. Goals can be anything.
Or as we said earlier, it can be, today I will be very conscious of my language. I will try and remove the negatives from my language. And, if you do set that intention, I'll tell you, you will catch yourself so many times you will really laugh.
You will laugh.
Because it's like, oh my God. Because our mind actually will go to the negative far more than we go to the positive. We really have to work at the positive.
Exactly. But what I love about it is that when you're working on the positive, holy smoly, the places that it takes you.
Yes, it really can take you far. But it's a conscious space that you must take yourself into on a regular basis. It's too easy to get caught up in the negative. Way too easy. Yeah. And I will tell you that one of the big things as a coach that I talk about all the time is find an accountability partner.
Yes.
Whether you are, a stylist, an esthetician, whether you are a booth renter, whether you are the owner of a large salon.
Doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter. We all need someone to hold us accountable. Mm-hmm. And I really believe that within your circle of friends, your circle of business, your circle of influence, that you know someone that can be your accountability partner. And I think that moves you forward, because then now you have someone else to be accountable to. So for instance, Aileen and I, we, take different parts of our business, and we each have different responsibilities, but we hold each other accountable.
Here. When each of us has tasks, be impeccable with your word. We have to bring it back, done sort of thing. So if Kath and I, divide up the chores or whatever, we each go off and do them, and then we come back and say, well, here's this, and this. I know I have to get that done because Catherine's relying on me. I'm accountable to her to achieve what we've decided to do. And the same thing for Kath. If there's certain chores that she's going to take on, she knows that she's got to come back to me. And I mean, the last thing you ever want to do is say, I didn't get that done.
True. So, I mean, think about who it is that you could set up to be your accountability partner. And I mean, it could be your husband or a significant other. If you don't have anybody else right now, that's who it could be. And just say, look, I need somebody to hold me accountable. And then you set out the parameters for that. So that's a good one.
And finally, to sum up, here's something that we want you to take a look at. Where's the next? And next. I love this. Aspire to inspire before you expire.
Exactly.
CW. I can't remember who CW was. Somebody we heard.
Yep. I have no idea. But again, as taking on the profitable salon owner and becoming the profitable salon owner, this really was our mantra. We want to be able to inspire people in the industry.
Yes. And to become better at within the industry itself, but also because when we get better at one thing, we get better at everything. So what I do find is that as we improve who we are at work, we improve who we are as people.
Yep, that's true. We improve who we are at home.
Yes. Here. Yes. So aspire to inspire before you expire.
And we guess that wraps up our presentation today.
And if you want to take it to the next slide, I want to give everybody our information. We are at www.theprofitablesalonowner.com. And as many of you know, we also put out a weekly newsletter. In fact, if you catch our newsletter this morning, it's on micromanagement, which is always a wonderful topic. So please head over to our website if you're not already on there and sign up for the weekly newsletter. It's free. And we're also at the end of an email address. We're info@theprofitablesalonowner.com. And of course, our business is all about you. And if you would like to send us an email, or if you would like a copy of this presentation that you can share with your staff, please send us a little note and we would be happy to do that for you. And we want to thank all of you for being here today. We're very grateful to have you online with us. So thanks, everybody.
Yeah, and we're grateful to Vagaro for allowing us to bring this to you.
Absolutely. Vagaro, all of you wonderful people over there, thank you for being there for us.
And Michelle, thank you for being here, Michelle. That was great.
Have a wonderful time in San Diego.
Yes, we'd say we're jealous, but we are in the San Diego of Canada. So it's all good.
Take care, everybody.